Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. As I record this video, XRP is at $2.38. XRP is now up over 17% in the last 30 days. Now, what is particularly interesting to me about this is that almost nobody is aware of that. I mean, sure, there have been obviously some people buying, price goes up, that's simple demand, right? But not in the way that you might think, which is why I'm super excited to share the data in this video that I'm about to share with you. What you're going to find is that it's a particular type of buyer that's put this, that's resulted in this figure that's on your screen here. As it turns out, there is what one popular chart analyst is calling XRP stealth accumulation. It turns out there's not a whole bunch of new retailers driving, retail side purchases driving this price action. It's actually quite the opposite. And so to understand that XRP, after spending most of the last 7 years, which is, I've been holding XRP about 7.5 years, pretty much that whole time, not literally, but most of the time, XRP's been anywhere from like 20 to 50 cents, call it probably around there. To know that it's now at $2.38 without mania pushing it there, and with the typical lemming retail speculators that are here at the moment poo-pooing it, to see that and to know that institutional money has been flowing in, it is jaw-dropping, and almost no humans on the freaking planet are aware of these things that I'm spouting to you, but it is true. It's just data. It's not my opinion. It's data, and I'm going to show it to you. Which means, if we are right, and I assume that pretty much all of us are on the same page and hoping and expecting this, for alt season to come, if indeed it is going to come, and I firmly believe it is, XRP is going to be either the greatest beneficiary out of the top 100 coins or among the greatest of beneficiaries. It's going to be way up there because it's been artificially suppressed for years, and people have taken note that now it's no longer shackled, and free markets are doing what free markets should have been doing the whole goddamn time. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, here's a post from Crypto Crew University. Shared this with his 84,400 followers on X, XRP USD price on your screen here. That's the chart. He wrote, XRP monthly chart insight. In both 2017 and 2021, a second RSI, Relative Strength Index, explosion above 65 triggered massive moves. We're hovering in that same zone now. Watch for the stochastic RSI cross-up. It could be the real ignition point. And so you can see the price for each of the three cycles, 2017, 2021, and now the one we're in now, 2025. And you can see on the bottom here, so that's the price, XRP price up here. And then on the bottom, that's the RSI for XRP over that time period. Look at this thing. Not surprisingly, RSI didn't get as oversold in 2021 because XRP was being artificially suppressed because the United States government via the SEC suing Ripple, obviously. That's no longer the case, very obviously as well. So he's noting this is the type of moment in the past, what we're seeing right now, that resulted in a big move up in each of the last two cycles. Even though XRP didn't hit a new all-time high last cycle, doesn't matter. He's saying this is the thing that led to a big move. And he's saying that's where we are now. You know what else is interesting about this? And I've been talking about this quite a bit. Even throughout most of 2024, from time to time I'd mentioned this. For each of the last two cycles, XRP had an initial big move, and then about half a year passed, and then it had another big move. We're in that time frame where if it's going to be roughly half a year, not that it has to be, I'm not saying it has to be, I'm not even predicting that, even if it's anywhere in that range, that would be the same as the last two cycles. That's the moment we're living in. And he's saying here, in terms of RSI, that's also a moment where XRP went. Interesting confluence, isn't it? And again, this is all happening while retail is basically asleep at the wheel, mostly, as you'll see. So check this out. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom, and he said, $170 million in net market selling over the last 7 days. XRP up 11%. And I'll note that he posted this Friday evening, so it would have been the 7 days trailing that. But XRP, despite that, was up 11% to that point. And so he said a true order flow anomaly. Takers, the market orders, were dumping, but price kept rising. This isn't bullish retail, it's stealth accumulation. Passive buyers absorbed every sell and lifted the floor. Better stated, emotions weren't behind this move so far. Okay, well, for most people, I would say that's broadly true. If you're looking at the price action on the whole, yes. Were there some, though, that were emotionally selling? Perhaps, as I'll show you in just a second. But who was buying? The big money. And so this is exactly in line with something I shared in a video just yesterday. And it was another post from the same analyst, Dom. So I haven't shared what's on your screen now, but I did share this one, which perfectly supports what he just stated there as far as stealth accumulation. It's the big boys buying. And they're doing it without emotion. They're doing it at a time when the rest of the world just isn't paying attention. They've driven the price up the bit that it's gone up. The big money. Take a look at this. So, and this is what I shared yesterday, just to catch you up in case you missed it. This is highly relevant to this video. Dom said, I am now tracking aggregated net flows per trade size on XRP. There's been an interesting dynamic over the last few days. Orders between 10,000 to 50,000 XRP have seen the strongest net buying, along with orders over 50,000. You can see the color legend, so he's talking about this right now, for those of you looking at the screen. And he says, all while orders between 100 to 1,000 XRP and 1,000 to 10,000 XRP have actually seen net selling. Little fish have sold the rip and bigger money has been behind it. That's fascinating, isn't it? So the little guys don't have the strong conviction. Presumably a lot of them would have been newer. I would guess that anyway, without any additional information, because that's the behavior you'd expect from somebody that maybe jumped in the last 6 to 12 months. Maybe they did jump in a year ago and this is the target they had, in which case, fine. There's no problem with that, of course. Just take profit whenever you want to take profit. Nothing wrong with that. But isn't it interesting that it seems to be the smart money, the rich people, they tend to be the smarter ones when it comes to investing. That's why they're rich. Isn't it interesting that they're just throwing money by the truckload into XRP and then the little guys are selling? Isn't that fascinating? Do you think the big guys are going to get wrong-footed? Because I don't. That doesn't tend to happen. I really don't think so. And again, they're buying at a time when retail is asleep at the wheel. To drive that point home, look at this post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. He said, XRP soars 40% in 30 days. And it's not 40%, obviously. I just showed you it's 17%. I'm not sure where he got that in particular. That's not the figure, though. Setting that aside, though, yet Google Trends show retail still sitting out. Perfect. And that part is true. And I check this from time to time, and seeing his post is what prompted me in this particular case to check it out. But it's just true. Look at this. You can see, so this is just going back the last 12 months. So you can see in December, interest peaked. And so XRP had running for, a few weeks at that point. It had a local top on December 2nd at about $2.90. And that was when the maximum number of searches on Google for XRP occurred. And then you can see it jumped up a bit, of course, not surprisingly, the week that XRP hit its all-time high, which of course was January 16th. And then it kind of trailed down. So look at this. Now it's this low. Look at how low that is. Yet XRP jumped 17% over the last 30 days. Doesn't that tell you something? Folks, it's not euphoria driving this. This is just the price for XRP now. Does that not instill confidence? Like, XRP has never price-wise been in this position in history. I mean, not to this level is what I mean. I mean, yeah, assets always end up in price discovery, and then, they'll pull back down, retrace, whatever. And then they find whatever the norm is. And of course, XRP's gone through that too. What I'm saying is it's never done that above $2 before. And then after accumulating, consolidating for a few months, then going higher despite no new interest from retail. That's amazing. Up 17%. Yes, please. So what then do you think happens when alt season starts and you see all these new people coming in? The price already is what it is. And then all these people are Google searching XRP and crypto and Bitcoin and everything else. All that money flows in. What do you think then happens? If this is just the base case, this is like the base level for XRP now, roughly this range, holy freaking hell. This is going to get ballistic in the future if that's the case. And I'm in the camp that believes that is going to happen. I firmly believe what is most likely, for tons of reasons I continue to articulate day after day, we are going to have an alt season. XRP is going to be one of the best performers out of the top 100, if not the best. And because it's been suppressed and it's playing catch up. And it's going to melt faces. It's going to enter price discovery. Big. It's going to be life-changing for a lot of people if we are right. I know I'm not the only one that thinks this. It's probably the vast majority of you listening. And so we need to see that play out. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen, but that's going to be life-changing for so many people if indeed that does occur. And I think that's in the cards. And look at this still. And this data is actually, it perfectly mirrors what's been happening in terms of Google searches. It's just why this is so interesting. Look at the number of new accounts created. It's this chart in the middle of the screen here. Look at this. So you can see December 2nd, that was the peak for new accounts at over 30,000. And then January 16th, that was when XRP hit a new all-time high. It was over 15,000. So even though XRP hit a new all-time high, a lot of the mania for crypto at that point had kind of diminished. So even though XRP hit a new all-time high at about $3.40, that's half the number of new accounts compared to December 2nd. Fascinating, right? And then the Google searches went down, as did the number of new accounts created. But what's fascinating is, even now, for pretty much any day, and it could be a little higher or lower, but any given day for the last month, there have been roughly 3,000 to 4,000 new XRP accounts created. Isn't that fascinating? Because if you go back 1 year ago, any given day it was about 1,000 new accounts. Could be a little bit less, sometimes a hair more. And that's pretty much it. I guess mostly actually a little bit below 1,000 new accounts per day. So this is what I'm saying is, this is the new norm. So when it does have another burst, woo, hi mama, get ready. That's what I'm saying. And to drive the point home even further, and I did mention this in a previous video, so I'm just going to be brief with this, but I want to throw it in. Oh my God, the amount of institutional money flowing into XRP, I've never seen anything like this. Having tracked XRP every single day for over 7 years, I've never seen a moment in time where there's something quite like this. Even just, this is the most recent data from CoinShares. It's their weekly asset fund flows report, and it's all institutional money. And so this was published 6 days ago, and so we're going to have another one very soon. And so the data is they're for 1 week period. So the data was collected as of, this is the most recent we have at this point, May 3rd. So the week leading up through May 3rd. And XRP for that week was up $10.5 million. And you can see on this report, Bitcoin and Ethereum up more. Of course, you would expect coins that have higher market caps, when things are favorable, you would expect those numbers to be in line with market cap. So more money flowing into them. But what's interesting is for the last 6 weeks, and I shared this in a separate video, so I'm not going to do it again here. XRP for each of those weeks was up substantially, even when Bitcoin was down massively. For instance, there was a week where Bitcoin was down, so outflows on an institutional level, it might have been, I guess, beginning part of April. It was down 753 million, something like that. And for that week, it was up. There was 1 week where it was up 37.7 million, I think, and there's another week it was only up 3.4. But for either way, whatever the numbers were, for each of those instances, Bitcoin was down, Ethereum was down, and XRP was still up. XRP's been up every one of these damn weeks, every single one of them over the last 6 weeks. And so it's still up now, and that's great. You love to see it, but it was even while the rest of the market was in the red, and this is institutional money, while retail is not paying attention. The smallest retailers I just showed you, they're selling. The big money's buying. Which side do you want to be on, folks? You know what side I want to be on. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto, and he said, XRP clear trend reversal, $10 by July is a safe bet. Okay, well, no analyst can consistently, accurately predict time, but we are in a realm where that type of price action makes sense. So if we do hit that by then, I won't be surprised. Even if we're not, though, I'm not going to be put off by that. You don't know for sure. History rhymes with itself. It doesn't perfectly repeat, though. But everything is so perfectly teed up. My God. It makes no sense. If you're not excited about this, that does not make sense to me. How could you not feel ridiculously elated about this setup? There's never been a better time in history to be an XRP holder. I mean, you could argue, yeah, when it was half a penny, but that's a whole different risk profile. To have this type of risk profile where it's obvious XRP is a winner, but to still have that upside potential, Yeah, this is the best time in history to be an XRP holder right this very second. Very obviously. I mean, fine, you could say before the election because it was pretty much just as obvious then. But still, you get what I'm saying. This rough period of time in history, this is it. There will be a time where there's so much money in XRP that it's going to be as boring to trade and to invest in as precious metals like gold. That's probably going to take a long time to get there. And so when that happens, you're not going to have that opportunity for life-changing wealth. We are a long ways away. There is still tons of opportunity. I mean, talk about an asymmetric bet relative to other asset classes. It's just not even close. Thank your lucky stars you found out about crypto and jumped into it, because I tell you, and it's up to you to make it work. Like, you can lose money. There's obviously risk in it. There's risk with any investment, period. But way less than 1% of humans have ever even heard of XRP, and here we are, this massive community despite that, and we get it. We're just super freaking early. Like, I thank my lucky stars this is the case. This is, like, from a financial perspective, finding out about crypto and investing, and specifically XRP, it's the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Hands down. It has absolutely changed my life. And I still have to sell and realize the profit, but in terms of net worth, my God. Just picked up a few decades. Like, you know what I mean? In terms of hitting, like, retirement goals. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. And it's real. And there's nothing special about me. I didn't do anything special. I just bought stuff, and then I held on to it for a relatively long period of time. It's now been over 7 years, and now it's worth a fuck ton compared to what I put in. But the empowering thing is anyone can do that. I didn't do anything special. You can choose to do these things too. And so many of you already are. You just buy stuff, you have broad exposure, and you wait. Like, that's it. Which is why I have no course to sell you. It just works. The asset class is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I just believe that XRP is an obvious winner because utility matters and will win the day, and XRP has utility in spades. It's just so freaking obvious. Which is why I say, yeah, over the long haul, number go up. Number go up. And in the meantime, there's all sorts of people engaging in stealth accumulation. That's a thing. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.